right. Let's do a show. Welcome to this Ides of March edition of You Can't Do That on Salesforce. I'm your friendly neighborhood Tom, and I'm having some technical difficulties. You can hopefully hear me, but probably can't see me because my camera is being... That ain't gonna work. Look at that. Yeah. Let's see. Can we do this another way? How might we do this? Let's see. Let's give this one more shot. I'm going to unplug. You know, if you unplug it and plug it back in, that always works, right? Let's see here. Hang on a second. I'm over here doing tech support. Yeah, that's not working at all. Oh, wait a second. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Is this actually plugged in? Yeah, it's plugged in. Huh. What's going on here, kids? I think we got no power. Well, that's an easy fix. We can do that. I don't know how this worked at all. Yeah. Well, that's an easy fix, but a lot of undoing. So let's go in backups camera mode for now. Video capture. Let's see here. What do we got? Okay. We can use that. We can use that. Hi. Let's do something like that. Not quite as nice as my other camera, but you know, that's okay. We can still do some work, right? How's my hair? All right, yeah, my hair looks great. My beard looks great. We're ready to go. Let's see. I think I usually flip this, right? Let's rotate, flip horizontal. I think that's the view we're all used to, maybe. Okay, there's my face. Let's do some work. Let's do some Batchflow, the trilogy, part 3, the sequel, the revenge, the where the heck is my screen. Haha! Here we go. Probably need some code, right? We don't need that. We need us some Batchflow. Here it is. So, during our last episode, Batchflow is working. It was doing the things that we wanted it to do. And I was very happy about that. Now, what to do next? What to do next? Where on earth is my... Let's see. There it is. There it is. There's a chat window. In case anybody stops by, have that set up. Cool. And stream is working and everybody's happy. All right. Okay. Technology is in place. Now we can do some work. All right. Batchflow. So we got this all working last week. Did a bunch of tests. Test with multiple batches. Test with multiple flows. Test with multiple records into a flow. And then was there anything else that we had? We had a little bit of setup here. Oh, we did, we did chaining. We did Batchflow chaining as just another way to, maintain sequence, not create race conditions. So we got all that, and yeah, we're pretty good shape there. So last week we talked about how could we move this further into Salesforce org? How could we make some of the stuff that we do, basically in some of the lines of code that we write here, could we make that configurable? You know, particularly could we use like some custom metadata to define some of these things? I think the answer is yes. We just have to figure out how to do that and how to make it, you know, accessible, I guess, to do that work. So let's see. I noticed something is not saved here. I don't know what changed that. I think I literally, okay, I guess it was just some indentation. How fast are we going to save today? Not so fast. What? Failed to run. Variable does not exist. Hold the phone. Scheduled job ID? Did we? Oh, we were finishing up scheduling last week, so maybe I did forget this. Okay. All right, what else are we missing here? Method already. Oh, we got two of the same in here. Line 175. I bet you got it in here twice. Yep. Don't know if we really need this. Let's move this way up. Feels weird all the way down here. I guess we could pass some stuff in when we initialize a batch flow, maybe. You know, take some pass some parameters or something. We'll leave it for now. And hopefully this works. Ooh, that's really green. Really green. That's not green, Tom. That's orange. All right, cool. So there we go. We got that in place now. And what's next? Let's talk about configuration. How do we make batch flows from metadata? I got some notes here from toward the end of the last show. So we could have a, excuse me. We could have a, I think we have custom, I think we do this with custom metadata. So we have something called a batch flow object, or batch flow CMD, I guess. We're going to be able to name it, give it a description. The action is our update, delete, none, which maps to our, maps to this. Nope, that's our single record, multi-record, which are batch flow action. So it maps to that enumeration. These up here. There you go. So we're going to have a pick list for this. I think a pick list for execution. Put in the object type, local where, what's the next batch flow, so you could reference another one of these. Can you do that with custom metadata? I guess we'll find out. I don't know why in my head it feels like we might not be able to do that. Is it scheduled? And is it running? We might not need this there. We might need that on the, maybe down on the flow log. So this will be metadata. Batch flow. That probably is also metadata, if we can. And then batch flow log is just writing the event, or not the event, just tracking the fact that a log is executing. Okay. Anyway, we talked about some stories here. So this is the compelling question, right? Should this be metadata? If it is metadata, then I can't do these things. I can't go to the record in the org and hit the run now button. I can't go to the record and say run later. But we could. Is there another way to do that? We could. Well, maybe this is all just in a flow, right? Or on this dashboard that might be coming together, that shows us the configured batch flows that are out there. Let's see. Let's play around. That's what we're here to do. Play around. More play than work. All right. Got some metadata types. Let's see what we can get here. So let's make a batch flow. All right. The big question is we've been using uppercase. This batch flow. Batch flows. But this is friendly name, so we'll call this batch flow. What do we want here? All code and APIs can use same type. Yep. I have to reread those every time I look at them because I can't remember. There's a lot of words there to interpret. Okay, here's our batch flow metadata. We get a name field for free. It makes sense to have a description. Description 4,000, sure, 5. Describe the purpose of this batch flow. Okay. Next, we have a action. That'll be a pick list. None, update, delete. First value is the default. That's interesting that you can't check. I never realized that. Notice that you can't check those. Here, you have to use the default setting. I guess that makes sense, right? Because you could deploy these and could wreak havoc, right? Maybe. Yeah. I bet it has something to do with packaging. Okay. So there's our action. The S object type. I'm going to make this text, but I would love to have to wrap a UI around this. Let's see, name of the Salesforce object. I forgot to put help text on the last thing the last field. Let's call this the filter. That could be long, right? Maybe we want that to be long text. We can go up to 255 with this. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but let's give ourselves 1,000 characters. I can't imagine you'd ever need that much for a. This is the SOQL where clause applied to the filter where clause, SOQL where clause to filter the records being processed. Okay, what else have we got? I'm going to come back to next batch flow, and let's do. I think a cron isn't that long, so we could probably get away with scheduled cron 255. This is the cron settings for scheduled batch flows. I should say probably cron settings to schedule a batch flow. Probably just mincing words there, but okay. What else? I don't think we need status. Okay, and then we're gonna. I was thinking about the flow mode. The mode is going to be the single or the multiple records setting, and then a sequence, because that makes sense. We don't have this object yet, so I think we're done here. We might have some more to add later, but okay. Next custom meta type. This is the batch flow. Cursive names are awesome. Come on. Maybe I made it mad with the. I had to think about the name for a second. All right, the name here is fun. First of all, can we do a metadata relationship? Yeah. So we want to go to the batch flow. So actually, we could do an entity definition relationship on our other object. I forgot about that. I think we can do that. And then we'll put the batch flow flows on there. So let me switch back over to that. Let's go here, and I think instead of this, can we do this? Can I do this? Does this let me pick from entities in the oops, had that backwards. Okay, so I do that. Now if I manage one of these, what can I do? Yes. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I could do there. That makes sense. So then I can pick the object. Don't pick a dumb object. I guess that's the that's the rule here. Pick a useful object that you're going to work on. All right, label name. That's good. The naming convention for the batch flow flows. I mean, it doesn't really. We don't really care, right? It could get challenging because maybe you use the same flow in two different batch flows or something like that. But it'll bark at you if it does. Okay, so back over to batch flow. We have a lookup to the batch flow metadata. It has a name. Well, we need the name of the flow. I would love to be able to pull the actual flow names themselves out of that. For now, I'm just going to make it text, though. And then mode. Let's call it record. What do we call it in our... we called it record processing mode. Single or all. We'll make the first be the default because that's what we're doing here, right? Oh, whoops, that's in flow config. Default is single, okay? Batchflow flow. And then sequence, I think, right? Is 3 enough? Can we do up to 1,000 of these? Seems like plenty. Okay, so now we've kind of got enough to start. We could configure one of these now based on what we've got here. So let's see what this looks like when it comes together. So I'm going to make a new batch flow. We'll call this, what do we want to call this? Just account stuff. That's the flow name. This is going to be doing an update. I gotta move these around. It does. Let's see. It does account stuff. And then did we put a? Yeah, we put a filter on this. So where created date equals this here. Cron. We're not cronning. This is executing on the account, which takes us over here. Okay, neat. Batch flow flows. It's a bummer that I can't create one from here, but I get it. Okay, make a new one of these. This is going to be account set name. So here's where you might need to make like some, I might need to say like account stuff, account set name. I don't know how long these labels can be. I'm hoping for 255. It gives us enough runway to do this. So the batch flow is account stuff. The flow name is account set name. We are running in single mode and the sequence is 1. Clone it. The next one is account stuff, account set website. Westbite. There we go. That's the right batch flow, and this is the name, and the sequence there will be 2. Okay. All right, so can I edit the layout of this? Yes. I would like to have, I don't think I care about the namespace. I do care about the sequence. Let's put these out here. So the label, the name, the flow it's running, the processing mode, and the sequence. There. And back. Okay, well that looks good. Oh, can I order that? Sort by sequence ascending. There we go. All right. Cool. So now what? um, I have this defined. It should basically do this. How do we kick it off? That's the next question. I could... Let's think about this. What if we made a flow? A screen flow. We need to select a batch flow. I'm going to change the name. I'm going to make it all one word. Oh, wait, that's the API name. Select a batch flow. Probably don't even need that, do I? I can just use the field. This one, we need a pick list. I don't think we can do... This is custom metadata, so accessing this... Is there any issue with that? I don't think so. I want to say no. Sorry, just gotta do something here real quick. Okay. Okay. Sorry, friends. Thanks for enjoying the back of my head. Had to do a couple of day job things. All right, we would like... I think I want this to be a pick list. Right? Choose a batch flow. Pick a batch flow. And can make that text, select multiple, no. What is the choice? The choice is Can I make it a record choice set? Let's try it. This is Batchflow choices. Just order these by name, I guess. Excuse me. Label. Just order my label. Let's see. Yeah, let's use the... I have forgotten the difference between label and master label. Choice value is going to be the ID. Do we need to store anything else? I don't know. I have an error. What did I miss? Oh. I think we just get them all. Let's see. Run Batchflow. This we might have to change. Well, these are going to be pretty limited. I mean, these are the kind of things that not everybody should probably be running. I'm gonna run it in context and let's see how it feels about that. And if I debug this, do I get what I expect? Okay, so we can run account stuff and then oh, the batch size. That seems important, right? The batch size. Yeah, we got to add that in there. Should default it to 1? For now. Doesn't really matter. Okay, and then we want to no cron right now. All right, cool. So we have the batch choices, and then to execute this, what do we need to do? If we wrote a batch flow log record, that's going to be the next thing that we need here is this. So this will be data, not metadata. I'm sensing the need for an invocable. Do I need an invocable? I think we do, because we do need to run some code at some point here to summon our batch flow. So we could do it as an invocable. Yeah. And it's we either invoke it in this flow, or we invoke it in when we create a batch flow log record. Either one, right, will work. Either way, we need to write the invocable, so I guess that's not really negotiable. So let's do that. Okay. And we get to the part of the episode where I don't remember what an invocable method needs to look like, so I go look it up. And then we're just going to execute. What are we passing back? We have to pass back something, right? We could generate the flow. So we either generate the log from the invocable, or we generate the invocable from the log. I think generate the log from the invocable makes sense. Excuse me. Actually, what we probably want to do is bring that all the way back to Batchflow as a static method, just to init, and maybe init is like with or without a log, essentially. Or we allow init to what do you say, to go get the custom metadata that we need. So we can think about that. If we pass what would I pass here? I would pass the string that is the batch flow metadata name. But can I do that here? I feel like that needs to be a, because we need to run, we need to call this essentially. Yeah. So it's not an init, it's a it's more of a static call further up. Do we have any statics in here? Do we have batch flow acting upon itself? No. So we need like public static void I want to say init, but I've got init already. What's the right word? Run. Run from metadata. Let's go with that. So to do, get the metadata. Let's see. When we get metadata, we can do it by name, right? Metadata. Get instance by developer name. I think that's what we want to do this. Batchflow MDT. The batch, let's just say batch flow metadata, oops, equals this dot get instance of batch flow metadata name. Can we traverse relationships? Probably not. I'm going to guess no. Apex custom metadata relationships. View filtering. Keep these considerations in mind. You can query custom metadata relationships the same way you query normal relationships. You need customized app permission to view custom metadata record types. This is important. You can't relate public custom metadata types to protected custom metadata types. That's fair. If you use SOQL, the results include only those records that reference. You have permission to access. So this is the only, I mean, this, if I want to drive, if I want to drive metadata, like let's say I make a batch flow job and I'm making it for my finance person. And by default, it runs every night to go get some data from some other system and bring it into Salesforce. And it can also be run on command to do stuff. I believe she would only be able to do that if she could access this record, right? Which is a bummer because I don't know if that's going to work. I'm trying to think that through. If Jane, we'll call her Jane, if Jane from finance needs to run her job, she could hypothetically go to, a dashboard that has run Batchflow on it. In her case, in the way we're building this right now, she could run any of them. We don't want that. We would want to be able to give her access to just the metadata types that she needs access to. But this here is the challenge, right? I'm going to continue down this path with the custom metadata, but I think there might be, in full recognition that it's not great to store configuration data as plain old Salesforce objects as a custom object, and we should be using custom metadata here. I don't know if I'm going to get stuck. So, because I can't define. This is all I have to define security on custom metadata. And what does customize application do? It lets you do? I think it lets you do a lot. It's a powerful administrative feature. Yeah. These are not the things we want Jane in accounting to be doing. So how am I going to allow her to... And, for that matter, how do I allow people to create their own custom metadata or their own batch flows? They wouldn't be able to do that either. It truly is just an admin feature at that point. On the other hand, most people won't need to build them. We could simply make a function for Jane's specific flow, right? She doesn't need to use the same. We could create another UI that's like it just runs a specific batch flow that we tell it to run. And worst case, those might need to be made system level accessible for the purpose of just getting the batch data and getting it running. So I'm going to hold tight. Let's leave this as is. I think there's other ways around this rather than having to introduce, we might be solving a problem that we don't actually have. That's not actually a problem. Okay, back to our invocable. So we need to be able to call this. So let's call it run from metadata. So we're going to pass that in. We're going to get this now, or is it just easier to query as we normally would? So we would query equals select. For now, I can just do master label developer name from this. Yep, did that wrong. From Batchflow MDT. where developer name equals Batchflow metadata name. Okay, so that would get me the 1. And then if I said select master, let's kind of lay this out a little bit easier to see. I need many more fields here, but I just want to make sure that this will actually give me what I expect. Master label. Batch flow. This says it can just do it. But I'm not exactly sure what that's. So let's see. I'm just going to open up a new page here and try to test this out. Let's take this out, make sure the baseline we have is working. Oh, whoops. Okay. Batch flow flows. I don't know if it's this or if it's like underscore underscore R, right? Let's try here. Didn't understand the relationship. Okay. Is it underscore R? Okay, that worked. All right, so what's are all the other fields that we need then? Okay, master label, developer name, action, batch size. Description, why not? Grab everything. Now, what is that going to return me? Let's see. Okay, it just returns the name of the object. So easy enough, I think. Okay, so Batchflow metadata, got all our fields. Then we're going to select some of the same stuff. The flow name, record processing mode, and the sequence. From what? From batch flow flows __r. Here. Order by sequence ascending. Okay. So that'll give us the record, that'll give us the batch flow and the flows that we want to run. And then we can start looking at how we do this. Let's make this a none action to start, and then we can say if okay, and then the S object is subject type, Circleware equals dot filter, and then for I think that's right. Now, one thing that's tricky here is parameters. Let's set the batch size too. Okay. This is going to be f dot developer name, or no, this is going to be f dot flow name. Let's see, we can pass the name, the mode, This will be interesting to test. We're going to need to, I guess, mock our way around. Mock our way around some of this. Okay. Yeah, parameters, that's the only bugger. Not exactly sure how to handle those yet. I mean, I guess we could slap some JSON in there, and that could kind of work. I think we would have to then figure out how to we have to figure, like, is it just, you can put literals in, that's like easy mode, right? Throw some JSON in a box, string object pairs, we can deserialize that, put it in. If we wanted to, and this might be more of an input parameter question in general than the actual configuration, but if we wanted to reference like another field or do something dynamic, that's something else we'll have to think about. But yeah, that's that. We'll come back to that, later, I think. So this will get called from the invocable with the name. And that's everything we need. And that's all of the configuration. Now there might be a condition here where we're saying, are we schedule or init? I guess we could look and see if the whatchamacallit, if it has a schedule. Because if we were going to schedule, we would call that instead. Again, another extension of this. So I think what I do want here is ID batch job ID equals bf.init. So it'll pass that back. I could also just get it from the object, but that's cool. And then I think, the to do here is create a Batchflow log. And we don't have that object yet. Perhaps we want to create that. Do I just want to create that at the start of any batch flow? I wonder. Because it could just always live in init. Because that's where everything lives anyway. Right, because in this schedules, and we just init with all the settings that we had defined. So, I mean, it's an interesting thought in our start. Where's our start? Where is our start? Here. We could write it here, or we could write it here. We could also add like a source to the batch flow to be able to pass through, to capture the value, and then when we do start a batch flow, we could have access to it. So maybe for logging's sake, do we want to have Logging enabled. Let's make it false, I guess, to start, because that's how it's been so far. I could check that. I could also configure it on my batch flows and pass that through. And then when we actually let's have a source name. We could have a source type. What other sources would we have? It would just be, ad hoc or like manual, custom metadata. We could say like anonymous apex, because that's really how we're running them right now. That could be the default, because that's how we've been running it up to this point. We could say custom metadata, because that's what we're doing now. Is there any other way to run this? I can write code. I can use the custom metadata. We could have we may want to say, the Batchflow invocable is always going to support the flow. So if we just had a run, if this was more generic, if this was just a run, I could do some other stuff, right? I could then have a flow that does what the custom metadata does, but just does it in a one-off fashion, right? And then you could actually say like, well, I don't know if we could say save, but that could be an option. That again kind of asks the question of like, do we do we make this a custom object? Do we make it custom metadata? Because I mean, there could be like there's arguments for allowing, what if like Joe the sales guy wants to, update all of his leads, or update all of his opportunities close dates at the end of each week to 1 week out. He could do that, and then he could save that as a batch flow, and then that just then he schedules it to fire every Friday at 4 o'clock. Maybe that's a bad example and that's bad behavior, but whatever. But there could probably be some other valid reasons for that, and then being able to save all that configuration, would be handy. So I feel like I'm flip-flopping on this whole like batch flow configuration as metadata versus batch flow configuration as custom object, just because of the access, and people can create their own. Tough call. Not hard to do. I mean, we could just swap out the swap out the metadata for the object here. That's not impossible. If that were to change, then I would just be querying I'd be querying those objects, and then we could use a flow to configure them, which is also nice, right? I know I could probably do it with the custom metadata, but I can't just write custom metadata. The obvious challenge is having to export and import the data from one place to another if you were going to like test something. So age-old question, what to do? Ignore it and hope the problem goes away? No, that's probably not the right answer. Let's see. Anything else going on here? Nope. All quiet on the Western Front. I feel like we should make it a object. I think we're gonna make it an object. I'm gonna get boos from the crowd for saying that, but I feel like that's the way to go. Whoop. That's interesting. Batch size is that's tracked as a decimal. That's interesting. Is that because I thought the data type was yeah. I would have expected it to just be an integer, but maybe that's just a thing. All right. Anyway, let's. All right. I just won't set that because we're going to change this up anyway. I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to grab the objects, and then we'll pull down the. All right, let's just pull everything here. Make sure we've got all the stuff. One thing I haven't really done is manage just a lot of the details around just like the source code and all that stuff. So, all right, let's take Batchflow and we'll repurpose. Can I repurpose it? There's some fields in here that are just not going to be happy. Like I think I had to get rid of like field manageability and stuff like that. But if I grab Batchflow and just copy and paste this, let's rename it. And then let's rename this. it's going to yell at us, but let's just see how far we get here. As Force be with you says, decimal batch size use case. Database.execute batch. New picket fence with kids 2.2. Yeah, exactly. Not reality based. Oh, specify me. All right. This, I bet you're quickly going to get into why are you bothering to do this? You could just make this object yourself mode. You know, I'm feeling sadistic, so must specify a name field of type text or auto number. That makes sense. Oh, do we do that right on the... Folks, I think I'm just going to recreate this object. Pretend you never saw that. Maybe it'll be faster to get the fields thrown on there, but for right now, let's just kick it off here and get what we need. Hey, Tony, thank you. I got all my branding. I got Red Argyle. This is my this sweatshirt's like 7, 8, or 9 years old now. It just lost the zipper still works, but I don't have the thing for it anymore. I have to. This is like the key to my zipper. It broke, so I'm never getting this. If I take it off, I'm never going to get it on again. And then the t-shirts here. I got stickers. I forgot to get some stickers out at that Cactus Force. I'm gonna bring them to the next event. I think I'm doing Mid-Atlantic Dreamin'. So, oh geez, speak of the devil. Did I just break this zipper? Nope. Okay. Whew. The things that matter. But yeah, Tony, you might be shocked to know that most of my wardrobe involves the color red for obvious reasons. All right, we're going to make an object. Let's report on it. Let's track history on it. Sure, let's make it searchable. Let's make a new wizard. New wizard button wizard. Uh-oh. Oh, are you kidding me? Because we already... Darn it. I can't delete that. We're going to call this Batchflow 2 for just a moment, and then we'll change it back. Which will probably completely mess up all the source control that a scratch org does, but oh well. All right, what do we want to... What's a good picture for a Batchflow? Is our hamster wheel? Gear. We'll go with gear. This is exactly how Product 2 happened. And Tony, I'm so old, I got to see the change from Product to Product 2. I think it was like API version 7 or something. Somebody realized that relationship just wasn't going to work. Are there a couple other 2? There's like a territory 2 object, I think. You can't help but feel kind of bad. It's like, oh man. But isn't that the reality? Like we all live in a world where change just has to happen, and you ain't always going to get it perfect on the first go. Just life. Product 2 is an allegory for life. You don't get it perfect the first time. All right, let's see here. There's Batchflow 2. Can I get lucky and yoink all these fields over there? I'm sure there's going to be some life too. Hey man, whatever you believe in, I would love to come back as a cat. I've decided if I'm going to be reincarnated, I just want to be a house cat, and I hope I belong to a friendly family, because I will just chill all day long. Yep, do whatever you want. sit on your lap. That sounds good. Look out the window. Perfect. Is this going to deploy? Yeah, okay. We can change those. That's fine. See if everything else survives here. Let's get like 20 deployments going at the same time as I change these. Does the last one work? Oh, it's getting down to it. Come on, big money, no whammies. Oh, what happened? Invalid data type. What? Oh, yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work at all. That's just got to be a text field. So, let's use a scheduled cron. Close enough. Grab all this and figure out what's different about the two. Let's see, we don't need unique. It's not a metadata relationship. It's technically required. Get rid of all this. And then what do I have duplicated here? How'd I do? Full name. Looks good to me. Well, that's super helpful, Salesforce. Thanks. Huh? Oh. Element required is duplicated at this location in custom field. It's got to be the one I was just messing with, right? I got required in there twice. There we go. All right, so we still can't. All right, we can't get rid of that yet. Let's make our other object the Batchflow, because yeah, that's a great naming convention. It's also not going to like this, is it? Okay, let's make another mess. There's not as many fields on this object, so I think I'm just going to make these myself. There's like, what, 3 fields on here? Okay, 4. We need to do a lookup anyway, so let's see. Where is this referenced now? It's referenced in the flow that we were working on, so we got to pull it out of there. It's referenced where else? I'm glad this isn't activated yet, because I think we're just going to have to pull this off the screen and then do over. Okay, so save that. So we're not referencing it there anymore. And then I think it's just in our code. Our Batchflow code. Our Batchflow invocable? No, that's not doing anything. This is just a void, so we can comment all this out. Save that, and hopefully we can trash the other stuff. I really want to get these naming conventions back to normal because I don't want to. I actually don't want a Batchflow 2 object. I'd like it to be named correctly. Okay, let's go to our custom metadata. And I want to delete this, hopefully. And I want to delete this. Okay, and now I want to pull. So that stuff should go away. That's gone now, right? So I'll delete that. Let's see, did we delete? It's interesting that these aren't deleted. Do I have to do that, or if I delete from project and org, is it even going to notice? They should be gone, right? When the metadata was deleted, those instances should be gone. I'm going to just say bye-bye. We'll get rid of this whole folder. Yeah. So we don't have any custom metadata now. Okay. Just pull one more time. Make sure it's not. Make sure there's nothing else missing here. Okay. So those are gone. Let's rename. Rename that and rename Batchflow flow. Okay. And pull one more time and hope that it's interesting that it saw those as being created, right? So now, oh wait, no, it's deleted. It's deleted. So yeah, those should be, if I refresh this, are they gone now? They're not gone. They just got dealt with. All right, so we can delete these. Batchflow's got our fields. Batchflow 2 is no more. Yay. Okay. All right, let's recombobulate Batchflow flow here. What did we have? We had a sequence field. Number. I'm going to turn everything off because I'll do my permission set mojo in a second. What other fields did we have with flow name? The flow name, oh, the lookup. It's kind of important. Actually, we'll make that master detail to the batch flow. Should actually be batch flow flows, I just realized. Yeah, it should be batch flow flows. I did the plural wrong. Then the mode, right? Well, let's say record. We called this record. Yeah, record processing mode. Makes a little more sense. Whoops. Okay. I think that gets us everything there. Pull that down again because I'm paranoid about losing the metadata around this stuff. And then I do want to fix. Let's fix the plural label. All right, feels like we're in sync now. Okay, cool. So what's next? Got that. So we're kind of back to where we started. But I think we can rebuild pretty quickly what we had going on here. So this is actually going to be batch flow C. I'll call it batch flow config. ID, name, ID, name, from Batchflow flows. I think that still works. Order by sequence from Batchflow, where, yeah, where, I mean, this can be whatever. That's fine. Then are we good here? Nope. Oh, my bad. I called that. Let's rename that to that. What? Oh. Huh? Okay. Ah, okay. This needs to be C. Again? What are you doing to me here? You tell me nothing. Getting nothing. Push and override. I think I've pulled and overridden like 100 times here, so hopefully. So then my next magic trick will be, yeah, okay, you're super cool. Let's do this. Good old fashioned slam it into the org. Find out if something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Pull it back down. Okay, so hopefully we're good now. Okay, so that works. And let's see, do we get batch size on there? Forget. Yes, okay. Let's take a moment to do permission set work before I start scratching my head and wondering, where's all that stuff I just made? Okay, and one more. And let's put those together in a group. Batchflow admin. And pick the permission sets. So we'll pick the two we just made. There we go. Done. And let's assign it to my user. Again, before I wonder why my user can't do anything. Oh wait, the group, not the set. And yay! All right, so did I make a tab? Yeah. Okay, we got Batchflow tab. Page layouts are probably going to look awful, non-existent, more like. So let's fix that because I just blammed the fields in from the other object. We'll make this sensical at some point. Might change the name of this S-object type field. The label, I mean. Okay. Nope. There we go. Batchflow name. This was account stuff. Action will update records. This does account stuff. Batch size of 1. What did we say? In our code, we had it as created date equals this year. Here's our filter. We won't cron yet. This is acting upon the account. There we go. Related. Let's add So this is the name of the record. So I think this probably should be a, let's make that a auto number. Really the Batchflow, guess that could be an auto number too, but for right now, Batchflow flow, I think is definitely an auto number. BFF. Let's see. I can't think of a reason to not make it an auto number. Yeah. Wrong field. Okay, this will be set name. And we're going to run the records one at a time. And the next one will be set website. We'll run those one at a time as well. Okay, so we got our batch flow flows lined up. We got our batch flow defined. I think we got all the fields we need there. So now if I'm going to call this run, this will actually be an ID, a batch flow ID. Run from invocable. Suppose those objects could be called batchflow config, because that's really what we're doing with them. But I don't know. I'll have philosophical arguments with myself about that over the weekend. Lose sleep over it. All right, so we're gonna. This is run from invocable. So all right, our batch size. Hopefully this is working now. I'm still gonna get my integer conversion issue. I don't know. Oh, okay. I was thinking about like source name, source type. Source name could be batchflow config dot name. I haven't thought about source types. Like, where is, like, is it, again, is it coming from a flow? Is it coming from a, just like an ad hoc? Is it coming from something else? And I don't have an answer for that. What I do have an answer for is me getting a chair, grabbing my stool. I might also have an answer for me grabbing some lunch. How are we doing here? Where's the button? There we go. Okay. Yeah. I just cast this. What is going on? Here, I'll take it out again because I'm just like, all right, why can't I deploy? It can report an error to me, but it won't. Oh, I love it when we get lost in the sauce here. So we're gonna have to do the ridiculous, do some more of the ridiculous. Oops, somehow I hit save. Yep, no issues. So come on now. Get your source control syncery voodoo magic. Okay, can I deploy? Yep, okay. So maybe we have to hit deploy instead of save. I don't know. Okay, that's that. So if we're gonna run from invocable, do I need this anymore? No. Do I need this? Maybe. Those are our notes. Back to our flow. We got some new objects to play with. This is wait. Let's make this a record. So batch flow choices. Let's return them all. Let's return them by name. And I think we actually want the ID as the value that's stored. Do we need anything more? Not that I can think of right now, but we might. All right, save you again. And let's make sure we get our data back. Okay, account stuff. Got account stuff. All right, so batch flow is, that flow is ready to go. Now the invocable is going to take as a parameter invocable method. So this does bring us back to like the log, right? The batch flow log object. And what we're going to do there, this can't be a void, right? We have to, I think we're just bringing in a list of batch flow IDs. I'm not sure what to send back. We might just have to send back the records or send back the IDs that came in. I'm sure there'll be something useful to send back. I just haven't gotten to that point yet. Okay, so to do this, we need to. Okay, that's static. So for ID, Batchflow ID in Batchflow IDs. That's about it. I feel like I'm calling this run from invocable because in doing so, we can just if I get going on this sort of source type thing, run from invocable is call from invocable. So excuse me, we could set the type as invocable there. Oh my goodness, you still won't save, will you? Wow. Deploy. Quack. Quack. All right, let's give this a. Let's see, let's call. Does this look better with a lowercase f? See if it's going to save. It's not going to save. We can't push. We have to deploy. Bleh. I think it's the whole SFDXSF thing. I'm still too stupid to understand what that's all about. But here we are. Okay, let's refresh this. Run Batchflow. Run Batchflow. Now to check this, we could let's open up the Apex jobs. 3.8. All right, we're 3.15. So we debug this. All done. And refresh. I set it a batch size of 1, so that's why it's going to do 33 of these. Definitely could have upped the batch size to something bigger. Yeah, because again, the batch size is what the records come in, is the quantity of records coming into each iteration of the batch. But then our batch flow can subdivide from there. So if you're passing, even if you're passing in 200 at a time, you can run them one at a time once they get there, or you can pass them all in if your flow is configured to work that way. Which is probably, I think it's more performant than what we got going on here, which is just sort of, I'm going to abort that. Actually, you know what? Let's let it run and we'll see how this performs start to stop. I don't have exact times, but it's going to take more than a minute. And then we'll run it the other way. But honestly, I'm just stoked that this is even working. So we can now configure batch flows from Salesforce data. And then we have a flow that we can invoke, or that we can call the batch flows from. I'd like to have a flow that would let you build a batch flow sort of ad hoc. So maybe we can crank through that before the end of the show, or at least get it started. $588. Yeah, see, I think this is going to be fast. So, the next question is, well, how fast do flows actually run versus just running Apex code? And okay, look, we all know the Apex code is going to run faster, okay? But this is all in asynchronous process. So, if I'm doing this, I don't necessarily care about speed. I want things to run faster, but the whole point of batching something up or running it scheduled or anything like that is to put space between, how things are executing. So if my batch size is 200 and then my batch flow configuration is single record, bring in the 200, loop over 200, but execute one at a time. So that's going to, I think, perform faster than us passing in one record at a time and having to do, 1,000 batches. And we're done. Okay, 958. Let's change our config here. We'll make this 200. I suppose it could be even bigger, right? Can you make it 2,000? I think the challenge there is now you're really starting to test the bounds of, well, maybe you are trying to process too much in one go. Even with the space, it's not so much a space between records, it's just how much time you have to execute against those records. I think you get 2 minutes per batch because it's async. I forget. I can look that up. Let's save this. Where's my save button? Oh, did I edit it? I saved it. Okay. I'll go back here. I run again. Okay. So my batch is running again. Where's it should be running again. Okay, so 5. We started 5 at 9:59. So we've got 3 minutes. We've done 2. We've done 3. We've done 4. We're done. Okay, so probably less than a minute. Again, I don't have exact times, but it took that long to process that batch, as opposed to the 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it was for the other one. So yeah, faster, right? Pass in more records within reason. What if we crank that up to 2,000? Will it even let us? Uh-oh. I'm curious. Let's see, batchable. What is the size limit? I've always just had 200 in my brain. Default is 200 records. Page size return. Okay. Okay, well, won't get into it too much. I probably should default that to 200 on the object. Okay. Okay, so we have, that works. I think it worked anyway. Let's double check. Let's get our debug log out. Make sure there's nothing kind of silently blowing up under the surface. When we're done here, we could also just create a flow, a screen flow that lives on the Batchflow record, and you could just come and say, run it, you know, or a button or whatever, and you know, it can take in the parameter of whatever Batchflow you want to run and go have at it. We could actually probably use the same page or the same flow, and then just bypass the screen step if you're passing in a value. Let's see, where was I? Oh, we're going to run it. Speaking of running it. Okay. Here's some logs. These are ginormous, which is a good sign. Yep, we're doing work to update values. I think it was just the name, like this is an account, and then setting the website to something. So very basic stuff, but excuse me. Yeah, that was. It looks like it's done. Yep, pretty quick. That's only 1,000 records, you know. So I mean, 1,000 records in under a minute. You know, 10,000, 100,000, a million. Well, then we got some, you know, some stuff to think about, but still, I think it. You know, again, if you're doing it asynchronously, hopefully time is not your core requirement. If you need it to happen faster, there's going to be other ways to do that. All right. Okay, so let's add that. We probably should add the logging, right? The logging. We should. Let's take a look at that. BFL. Report, sure. I don't think we need to search or have a tab for it. This will also need a permission set. If we assign this now, then we can do the settings in inline. If I have that enabled in this org, I guess I should check that. Okay. What else were we doing? We were going to check user management settings, and okay, thanks for that. Let's do that. All right, so the batch flow log should look up to its batch flow. Actually, probably be a master detail, right? We're going to end up with a, let's see. We can have the batch job ID. We can also get the scheduled job ID. So we might want to store both of those or have a field for each of those. Those probably don't need to be 255, but I don't know if we'll have both. We might have both in the, if we're scheduling, right? Yeah, you're going to have one or the other. And then, so this is kind of uncharted territory. I haven't thought about this a ton. We want to probably track the, like when do we want this record to exist? I think we want it to exist when it first, if you're going to have logging, right? Which is, that's the other field we want to include on the batch flow. Did I have that in there, in here somewhere? I thought I did. Maybe not. Oh, logging enabled. Yep. Try to keep my variable names the same. All right, so f.enable logging equals batch flow config. Deploy is super fast. Push is awful and broken. Oh, variable does not exist. Logging enabled. Doesn't? Oh, oops. Guess I didn't actually save the record there. Okay. So, when to make the log? We could have a method in here that creates the log, and it could either be called during schedule or during init. Because when does, all right, scheduled context calls init later. I think if we just had so I think we could get batch flow log, and let's just make that a variable, I think, or a property on here. So public batch flow log. Okay. So let's see, if log so we don't have a log. Can we say if log does not equal null, then just return? If it's still null, then we'll Okay, so if we don't have one, let's create one. And I guess that, well, is this really better suited? That logic is probably better suited up here, right? When we're calling our getter. Yeah, let's see. So let's take this. I don't want to be flip about creating, like inserting data in these calls or querying for it, but I think if we do say that, you know, if log is null, then we have to do some checks, right? Let's try to find the log based on some of the data that we have. And then if that's still null, then we'll create a new log. Okay, I think that works. And I guess we could probably, yeah, I don't think we want to set those here. I was thinking, well, maybe we set the batch and scheduled jobs here, but no, I think we want to set those wherever those are. I don't think we need this. We might need something like that, but now if we're doing this in, I mean, I guess we could just say, we could have all this, you know, wiring in here and then just check if logging is not enabled. Don't save anything, right? Okay, so we would set that here, and then we would set it on these. I think we would, so we would do that here, right? So this dot log dot status, right, equals, I would call this queued. When it hits this stage. This dot log dot status, I would say scheduled. And then this dot log dot status, we could also say scheduled. And then let's just have a private void save log. And we can say here if this dot logging enable or enabled logging. Can we just upsert? Let's see, where batch job ID, dupe, or schedule job ID. We don't have a status field, do we? There's, let's see. Apex job. I think there's like a, yeah, preparing. The start method has been invoked. Processing, aborted, completed, failed. Okay, so maybe we want, I think we can match these. Oops, where'd my object go? Scheduled, preparing. Processing. Aborted. Failed. I wonder if we can get aborted and failed. We probably could just have an abort. An abort command on the batch log or the batch flow. If for some reason it needed to be aborted. Failed. What is their definition of failed? The job experienced a system failure. A system failure. Now, I do think we want to have like errors, captured. Error doesn't necessarily mean the whole thing failed. Did we save that yet? Nope. This is batch flow log. Okay. Try to save that again. Okay. Okay. Logging is now enabled on that. So as this runs through the process, or as it's being processed, when it's initted, it's queued. When it starts, started, right? That's the, oh, what is it? Preparing. I think we can just do this once. Well, we might have some other data we need to add on here, because this is where the logging would really happen. So just to stay in happy path here, we get to finish. completed. All right, so we have an indicator that this was... Oh, we want to... I know, you're not going to save. Let's set... So we won't always... So here's the thing. We won't always have a batch flow. If we ran one of these ad hoc, you wouldn't have one. So this really should just be a lookup. You know, that does come at some expense, right, of you know, not being able to aggregate and stuff like that. But I think because if we build a flow that just lets you configure a batch flow and you don't actually want to save it, I mean, I guess that's kind of weird, but you could do that. You could come in and run a one-off batch flow. Hopefully you want to save it and use it for later. But yeah, you could do that. So we got status. There's a lot of data points that I think are on the Apex job object that, you know, can already be... Here it is, async Apex job. So this knows the class that was called, but in our case, it's always batch flow. Extended status. So they have all these different job types too that can run. I don't know. I'm not familiar with some of these. Apex token. Last processed. Number of errors. And total job items. Total number of batches processed, which I don't know if we know the... Now, I guess the corollary of what I just described is, you know, we could just save that batch flow. And does that make more sense to, if I'm thinking down the road, you can go in and create a batch flow and, you know, we're just going to save it for you. And if you don't want it, well, go ahead and get rid of it. And we won't care about your logs either. So we would get that. We would get that here, right? So we could say, right, you can set that there, and then if we're saving, if logging is enabled, it will save. This isn't really run from invocable. This is more like run from... It's more like run from config, right? But again, if we then had a flow that just collected all the data, and we're going to save it anyway, you know, it's not really. It's really just a question of the destiny of the source that it's coming from. So this could just be run. You know, it could look like this. Run. What are you running? I'm running some Batchflow config, and then string is my, you know, source type, or maybe I'll create an enumeration of those. So I don't know how discrete this is, but we could just say run from invocable. Or we change this over, right? This cannot be referenced in a static. Oh, wait. BF. My bad. Yep, and our usual error. Okay, so we could say here then that, let's change this over to just call run. And then we could say the source here is batch flow invocable. That's the source type. So we'll create a source type field on our Batchflow class. Where are you? I don't know if we need source name. I think we can just do source type. Or maybe it's just source. Because we'll have a lookup, we'll have a relationship to the batch flow that it's running. This is really more like how did it get into the system. So maybe it's just source. Source. Yeah. I think it's an enum, just kind of waiting to happen, but for right now, yeah, you're not going to save anyway, are you? It's so frustrating. It's taking this long to save. It's going to fail. I don't know why. And when I hit deploy, all is good. Bleh. All right, where is... and yet it still validates it. That's what's crazy. 83. Source. So source is probably something we want on the a field we want on the log. Let's see. Do we want it to be, if I make it an enumeration in the code, it probably should be a pick list out here, right? I guess that could be the default. Batchflow invocable. Not sure where else we would get here. I just want to make them all one line. Sure. Okay. Let's default that to that'll be the default, but then we can change it based on whatever we get. So when we save log, we can update that stuff. I mean, really, there's no reason not to even just save the we're collecting everything from the Batchflow config object here, and which I think I am going to name it to that, because having this Batchflow a class with a Batchflow object with a Batchflow Salesforce custom object, having them all be the same is a little confusing. If I just called it config, Batchflow config, then it'd be a little less so. But again, maybe that's between now and next episode. As we have the log, we could just store the Batchflow or build, the Batchflow config, which is basically driving all of this stuff. Now that we have the object, a lot of this stuff, a lot of our references here could be a little different. Yeah. We had to create our own data structures here, and I think we still would for some of the settings, but you could yeah. Anyway, it adds a new wrinkle, I guess. But so yeah, but we've got, let's see, we should have logging. It's not doing much right now. If I go to my Batchflow, my account stuff, I got logs here. There's nothing there. Did I enable logging on this? Yes. Could we run this? See if we get a log? Sure, why not? I'm just going to fire this up again because I don't know. Uh-oh. Action name not found. I should fire up my... Oh, is it over here? No, you darn it. Let's try that again. Which one was it? Action name not found. Oh, right, because it's, yeah. This is probably, this needs to go away. We need to save this. We need to refresh this, I think. Ah, but wait, our invocable didn't. Well, that didn't change. Wait a second. Did we lose something? Because I couldn't configure that. This action has no inputs or outputs? That sounds weird. This whole not saving thing is driving me a little nuts. There we go. That's odd. That's, I just don't recall, whoops, making any kind of change that would impact that. Maybe because there was an error, it just kind of flaked. Okay. List has no rows for assignment. Let's do that as a list query, and then save and fail, then deploy successfully. Lift with your back and twist. Okay, there we go. How do we do? We get a log? We get a log. We did not write the batch job ID, though. Did we not do that? I thought we did that. Oops, I think I just closed what I needed there for the... So it's completed, but is my... Okay, that's completed. Why didn't we get the batch job ID, though? Because that should have happened... This called init. which initted. Oh, wait, because we didn't, where are we calling save log? Calling it after start, after processing, and after finished. Well, we're not, it's not being set because it's not being called. So I think maybe we just need to call it inside of these. I think I'm just going to turn off the whole save automatically. Maybe that's where my issue is. Maybe the save, somehow I've messed up the commands for that save. Ooh, the call when save, and instead of a push, it needs to be a deploy. I don't know. Let's try that again. Let's fire up this batch again. Go. No. What? Field is not writable. What? Field is not. Why is it finding the? Oh, because our record was null. Yeah, that's kind of a problem. If this is not, it shouldn't happen, right? I think we have to do a test for where that would be something like select ID from this where one of these, right, is true. Either this or that. Or this doesn't equal, or this is either this isn't null or this isn't null. And yeah, that's, we deleted the log. Okay, so we don't want, there should never be one of these records that doesn't have a scheduled job ID and or a batch job ID. If there is, something's wrong and we are sad, and we would get, I think, that issue that we just saw there. All right, so we'll rerun this once more. Hopefully we don't have that issue. Cool. Did we get a log? Oh, wait. Actually got two of them. AAU. That's log 3. $10.51 and $10.51. I wonder if my upsert is causing upset. This is 2. How about 3? That's completed, but this didn't get the bat. All right, I'm going to delete both of these. I was wondering if my upsert is not the right way to do this. All right, so if and maybe these settings we should just do in the like when we're saving the log, You know, because we could get all this stuff elsewhere. This really should be, we could make a status, for example, but this could be brought in from outside. This could be brought in from outside. Then we have that one. So then it's all happening here. We just, you know, we're just either saving it or we're not. Try this one more time. And if it's not working, no big deal. We'll take a little break. Well, actually, it's almost 2 o'clock. Man, what? Where does the time go? Just goes by. It's part of life. Right? All right, we'll try this one more time. And then, win or lose, I'm going to hit it because I am hungry. Gotta have some lunch bordering on dinner. We're doing it again? Why? Did it create a record, though? I think that's it did. Oh, but did I delete this? I did not. I get why the field's not writable, but I said I was going to go. I know. I'm still here. Okay, so that worked. Now, how many do we get? Yeah, we're still writing 2. Something's okay. That one comes in blank. This one comes in not blank. This one comes in queued. They both have the same. No, they don't both have the same job ID. One's just blank across the board. Yeah. All right. So I think what we're creating one, and then somehow we're getting another one, or we're seeing that we need to create another one, and then we're sad. So it might be the risk of having that, you know, having that happen in the property getter. I don't know if some lines are getting crossed because we're doing that here, but either way, we got configuration. We almost have logging. It seems to be working except for the logging, so maybe we'll do some more logging work next time. I still have some poetic questions about the names of the objects that are being used, and the fact that these Salesforce objects exist now. Maybe that changes the way we're doing changing the way that Batchflow works, because I think we're always going to write a Batchflow config. Whether it gets saved or not, I guess is the question. So anyway, that's a show. Did some stuff. Probably should get this into GitHub at some point. Maybe between now and the next one. But for now, I'm Tom and I'm hungry, and you can't do that on Salesforce. Like that. All right.